Every parent worries. I think that's the job of being a parent, is worrying. I'm going to help today to talk to you about something that a lot of parents worry about, reading. This is Heather Lursey. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about reading. Parents often experience anxiety with reading. I've heard things like parents who are worried that their child will never give up their pacifier. We always say, believe me, your child is not going to walk down the aisle with a pacifier in their mouth. Parents worry about potty training. And believe me, all children are going to be potty trained. So reading is probably the next really big hurdle that a lot of parents need to jump over. It's a difficult one. We all want our children to be able to learn to read. But the thing is that in my experience, all children can learn how to read. Now, maybe a child has learning differences. Even those children learn ways of compensating for their differences, and they learn how to read. So when you're worried about that, I would first ask, who do you know that doesn't know how to read? And that should help give you some comfort that your child is going to learn how to read. Reading seems like magic, like your child just picks up a book one day and they start reading. But it's actually a very long process with several parts of the brain that the child is using coming together to eventually bring fluency in reading. So reading takes a long time. It starts with phonics. Children need to learn the sounds of the letters. They don't need to know the names of the letters. Again, that's one of those weird things that we don't have to teach. Everybody just knows it. Maybe it's the ABC song, but all children eventually know the names of the letters. So when a child is young, point out the sound of the letter. That's what's important. And when you're talking about vowels, you should use the short vowel version. So for the letter A, we would say A, as in apple. Eventually, when your child knows all the sounds in the alphabet, or at least most of them, they'll start putting together those sounds to make three-letter words, small words. As an example, maybe sat. What the child will say is the sound of the letters. S, a, t. And then we start blending them together. S, a, t. And doing it faster. S, at, sat. So that's phonetically how a child is going to learn to read phonetically. Children also need to learn how to read sight words. I don't know how many sight words there are. There's quite a few. These are words that are pretty common, but you're not going to sound them out. A good example is the word is. It's often in books, and the child can use the sound I for the I, but cannot say s because it doesn't make any sense. So those are words that we simply have to practice over and over again. That's called sight reading. And your child will need to learn how to do some of that as well. Children will usually end up in one camp or another. They're either going to be visual readers, sight readers, or they're going to be auditory readers. Sight readers are more the type of readers who really do memorize the things that they read. Auditory readers are going to sound things out, and it takes them sometimes a little bit longer because they have to memorize those sight words. So no matter what way your child is going to find the easiest way to learn how to read, they're going to need both sight reading and phonetic reading in order to put all these things together. Children also need to see you reading, and children need to be read to. So we want to show them an example. We want to have them see us reading and know that reading is important. We should read to our children every day if possible. You can start off actually just reading picture books and allow the child to use their imagination. Maybe together you can make up a story with a picture book. That's a wonderful activity. Then you can move on to books that we just like to read to our children. One of our family favorites was Fuzzy Tail Bunny. A lot of people love The Hungry Caterpillar. So there's lots of books that are shorter books that have pictures that you can read to your child. But pretty early on, somewhere, wherever they can have a little bit more attention, you should start reading chapter books with your children. This will lead them to really think about what is being read. And they're going to be listening to how you read those books, whether you're using voices for the different characters in the books, or the things that you emphasize or don't emphasize, maybe how fast you read or how slow you read at a certain section. And it gives them something to wait for. It's a very exciting. Usually chapters, end at a big monumental point, and you want to go ahead and read the next chapter. But you say, no, it's time for bed tonight, or it's time to start making dinner, and maybe read the title for the chapter the next day. And your child's going to be very excited about what's going to happen next. So make that exciting. When your child's learning to read, they're going to start off with phonetic books, books like Bob books, or books like Animal Antics. These are going to generally follow a pattern. So the child is putting together these small words. Let's say a book about Bob, and they read that Bob sat or Bob got up. So those are the types of books they're going to read. I'll never forget the Animal Antics Hot Dog, probably as long as I live, because we read that book so many times. The funny thing about those books, if there is a main character in the book, when you get to the end and you ask the child, well, who was the little boy or the little girl in that story? And your child might not remember. And you're going to think, that name was on every page of the book. How can they not remember the name that we just read 10 times? It's because they weren't thinking about what they were reading. They were putting those sounds together to make words. After children learn how to do this, they're going to start to learn about long vowels. They're going to learn about blends. So there's lots of things that will come before that eventual fluency in reading. I can tell you it's just as exciting as you think it's going to be. It's like the heavens open up and it's the best day ever, and you almost can't believe it. And it really feels like we've struggled and struggled and struggled, and this has taken so long, and it's so boring right now. But one day they'll pick up a book and they'll start reading. So encourage them to do that. If you have questions, please put them in the comment section below. I'm happy to answer them. Of course, there's so much to this subject. We'll probably do more videos in the future. If you hit subscribe, ring the bell, you could get notifications. And if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Happy reading!